So Billy Napier and Mike Norvell, which one of these coaches is going to get fired first? In this video, we'll take all the details of the breakdown for each coach's buyout, talk about their situation, and see which one might get the can first. And if you read the news articles throughout the week, Florida's boosters met with the athletic director to potentially talk about Billy Napier's job. And it was rumored that regardless of what happened yesterday at Mississippi State, he was going to get fired today. I don't know if that's going to be true or not. As of right now, he hasn't been fired yet. So we can see this video could age really bad. He could be fired in an hour from now. But for right now, he's still got a job. His buyout's 21.3 million, 50% which be owed within 30 days of the termination. The remaining 50% be paid in equal installments of 12.5% each year, July 15th through July 15th, 2029. Napier's deal was on a 7-year deal, 51.8 million. The buyout doesn't seem that bad to me, not compared to when you see Penn State and James Franklin that was upwards of 48 million, and then Mike Norvell's buyout, which we'll talk about just momentarily. But I thought Billy Napier was a done man last year. He after the Texas A&M game where they lost real bad at home, he was already on the hot seat. Then somehow he managed to rally his team, finish I think 9-3 last year, and then he had Lagway coming back this year. They was rumored to be dark horse national championship contenders, and then their season just fell off the rails quick. Had that loss to South Florida at home, the real embarrassing loss on the road to Miami. They did beat Texas, but I think bought them a little back, just a little bit more time. And then, but all that was kind of undone with the 17-point loss on the road to A&M last week. And then, Mississippi State should have won the game yesterday. They had the ball in field goal range, and all they had to do was not turn it over, and they would have kicked a game-winning field goal. But they messed it up. So Billy Napier got out with a win. I call him Slick Billy because every time it seemed like he's on the way out the door, he manages to find a way to do something to just keep hanging around. And now we're looking at Florida's advanced stats to see why they're so bad this year. They're 112th in EPA per play pass, 91st in success rate. DJ Lagway for being a dark horse Heisman contender. This is not the season that they needed out of him. If you get that up in just the 50s or the 40s, they probably wind up being 5-1 right now. So very disappointed. The defense has really done their part this year. So I can't complain on that side of the ball. But I know Gator fans are not happy with the offense, not happy with the bonehead coaching decisions in the game. And now we're taking out Mike Norvell's buyout. This is a little bit tougher because I've seen different articles. One has him down to $48 million buyout, and I'll see another one with a 60 to 65 million. So I really don't know what the buyout is. I do know they got to pay 85% of his remaining contract. He did have a restructured deal, after they went 2-10 last year. So maybe that kind of adds to the confusion of why the buyout is different than what it is. But we'll see what happens. And depending if the buyout's closer to 48 million or in the 60s, I think that'll determine how fast they pull the trigger. That loss to Stanford last night was ugly, and I think that was the real nail in the coffin. I mean, Pittsburgh was kind of the nail in the coffin when they lost that, but you can't go on the road to a bad Stanford team and lose like that. And they just looked kind of lifeless till the very end of the game last night. And how we look at Florida State's advanced stats, and for a team that's in the boat they are, their stats actually don't look that bad. You see a lot of greens on the offense. Pass ball 18th EPA per play, 47th in success rate. And when rushing the football, 11th in EPA per play, 14th in success rate. I was set up until that Stanford game. The offense is not the reason that they really had a bad year. It's been the defense side of the ball. They can't stop anybody's offense since the Virginia game. But last night against Stanford, they did at least show a little bit of improvement in that. I know Stanford put up 20 points, but a lot of that was they had the guy that jumped off sides on the field goal where Stanford missed a field goal that led to a touchdown. And then Florida State committed 13 penalties in that game. I think they lost that game more as a product of being undisciplined and making bonehead plays as opposed to, Stanford just, taking it right to them down their throat. But that's still a game you got to have. There's no excuses. You're already on the hot seat after Pittsburgh. You went 2-10. That exhausted all the credibility you had with the fan base. And then you won the Alabama game. You went 3-0. That brought it back. Almost felt like the 23 season again. It's been a rough time as of being a Florida State fan. You had the 23 undefeated season. Then you get snubbed. Then you go 2-10, and you feel the other end of the spectrum. Then you beat Alabama, win the next two games convincingly. Feels like you're back on top of the world. And then now we feel like we're back at the bottom again. But I would say that I think Billy Napier would be more likely the two coaches to be fired first just because the buyout's smaller. That loss to Stanford, though, for Mike Norvell, given that I say the ACC is an easier conference as a whole, and these are the bottom teams of a weaker conference. Like, you just cannot have those performances like that. So I would say, depending if if the boosters, decide to pony up enough money, I certainly think Norvell could be done real soon. If you look at his press conference last night, he just looked defeated in there. Like he looked like a man that knew his time was up to me. So we'll see what happens, but neither coach is in a great situation. Mario Cristobal is running the state of Florida right now. But thank y'all for watching.